This is a dog named Laika, the first dog in space. There were no plans for her return to Earth, and she died in orbit in 1957. This girl found this photograph in an old family photo album 66 years after the start of World War II, and learned that her kind grandfather was a Nazi soldier involved in mass killings. In 19th century Europe, a wife could be sent to a psychiatric hospital for treatment of hysteria for the following reasons. If a woman argues with her husband and has a different opinion, if a woman reads a lot, if a woman is dissatisfied with her marriage, if a woman refuses her husband, if a woman is deeply interested in science, if a woman doesn't want to have children. In 1880, cocaine was part of many medicines used to treat colds, neuralgia, headaches, and insomnia. Prisoners of the Flossenburg death camp, after being liberated by the 97th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army, May 1945. In 1940, 10 teenagers aged 14 to 17 were arrested for writing to Stalin condemning the unacceptability of sending grain to Germany while Soviet people are starving. They were sentenced to 10 years in prison. Quadruplers from the 1930s. Wives from the harem of the Persian Shah, Nasreddin Shah Qajar, 1870s. A 3,200-year-old attendance sheet from Egypt. Reasons for worker absence. Embalmed brother, drank beer, bitten by a scorpion. March on Washington, 1963. During this event, Martin Luther King delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. As a result of the march, the U.S. government abolished segregation and granted African Americans equal voting rights as whites. Dr. Joseph Mengele, one of the main war criminals in history, conducted inhumane experiments on people in the Auschwitz death camp. If today it's the Beatles, then what will tomorrow bring? Christian rally against the Beatles, California, 1966. The death stairs at the Mauthausen concentration camp were the place where prisoners carried granite stones weighing about 50 kilograms, 110 pounds, up 186 steps. Guards forced them to make up to 10 climbs a day, regardless of the heat or cold. Due to the exhausting conditions, many fell, dropping the stones on others, leading to injuries and deaths. 1943. A one-room school in Alabama during the Great Depression, 1937. This poor rural school had a barrel in the center of the room, used as a stove for heating. The Chicago Plan of 1833, when the city had only 350 residents. Representatives of Native American tribes, Navajo, Papago, Apache, and Hopi, sign a document renouncing the use of the traditional symbol of luck and happiness, the swastika, in clothing and jewelry, Arizona, 1940. The scale of repression in the USSR knew no bounds. In 1938, 502 people were executed in one day, including 3 cleaners. 3 poor elderly women were declared enemies of the people. A Vietnamese family fleeing to Saigon during the Vietnam War, 1972. An Indian kindergarten textbook in which a white woman is portrayed as the ideal of beauty, 1990s. This is the first photograph of the moon taken in 1840. A worker accidentally left a broom and bag near the statue of Supreme Leader Kim Il-sung. If the culprit had been found, they would have faced harsh punishment, or even death. North Korea. Soul cleansing with boiling water. In some Catholic countries, it was once believed that a sinner's soul could be cleansed. For this, they poured boiling water down the person's throat, or threw hot coals into it. A meeting of the American organization, Friends of New Germany, New York, 1934. Native Americans tear down the statue of Christopher Columbus, Mexico, 1994. Residents of Hiroshima pray towards the epicenter of the explosion on the first anniversary of the atomic bombing of Hiroshima, 1946. The cabinet ministers line up for execution after a coup in Liberia, 1980. Cyclists, scooter riders, and motorcyclists have been irritating other road users since 1900. In 1991, Princess Diana made an important and bold gesture in the fight against prejudices surrounding the disease when she publicly shook the hand of a young man with AIDS without gloves. The first strip club in London, 1958. Above, the father's reaction to the birth of a son. Below, the reaction to the birth of a daughter. Azerbaijan, 1909. Robert Wadlow, the tallest man in the world, at 8 feet 11 inches, is pictured here in a rare courtroom photo from 1939. Lion bite marks were found on the skeleton of a Roman gladiator. This proves that in ancient Rome, people actually fought lions in arenas. In 1941, Winston Churchill came to a photographer with the intent of demonstrating his resolve and determination to fight Nazism. However, the photographer couldn't achieve the desired effect, so he ripped the cigar from Churchill's mouth, which angered him. In the end, the photograph was successful and became one of the most famous images of Winston Churchill. Friedrich Nietzsche in a psychiatric hospital, 1899. Record photos of child prisoners in the German concentration camp Auschwitz, 1942. A 39,000-year-old mammoth carcass. Scientists claim it is so well preserved that its brain remains untouched. In 1991, the famous Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar reached an agreement with the government. Instead of being extradited to the US, he was to serve 5 years in prison. But ordinary prison didn't satisfy him. Escobar built himself a prison of dreams with a soccer field, a large dollhouse, a bar, a jacuzzi, and even a waterfall. This is a room full of participants in the 1980 Space Invaders World Championship. An experiment to train students under hypnosis. The students are in a trance and listen to a lesson recording through headphones. Italy, 1963. Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife arrive in Sarajevo, 1914. In the basement of the Supreme Court of Argentina, over 80 boxes full of Nazi materials were found. Illegal abortions remained a reality in the USA until the early 1970s, when the procedure was considered murder. However, many doctors continued to perform this procedure underground. The owner of the abortion clinic in the photo would be tried for murder. Even if you're Winston Churchill, you can't just walk past a kitten. London, 1952. In 1969, a small group of Native Americans occupied the former prison of Alcatraz in protest against human rights violations in the U.S., holding the land they considered Native American for 3 years. The indigenous peoples demanded honesty and respect from the American government for their tribes. A look at 2,000 yards, or a distant gaze, an unfocused gaze often observed in soldiers who have experienced combat trauma. In 1940, portraits of Adolf Hitler were distributed in a Polish resettlement camp to be hung in apartments. At 13, Louis Vuitton left his native village and walked to Paris in search of a better life. His journey, over 450 kilometers, was made on foot and alone after his stepfather kicked him out. During the filming of Fort Apache, many scenes required specific weather conditions, and director John Ford paid a Navajo medicine man to give him weather forecasts. Several days they were accurate, but one day the medicine man said he couldn't predict anymore. When asked why, he said that an actor had taken his radio receiver. The audience at a session of hypnotist Anatoly Kashpirovsky for obesity treatment, Russia, 1989. People going to a rally and leaving after the rally, poster, Russian Empire, 1917. Feminist cat, 1910s. Cemetery of German soldiers who died near Moscow. The inscription on the plaque on the nearest cross reads, "They rushed to Moscow, but ended up in a grave." Inflatable bra, 1950. In London in 1911, the first escalator was installed in the subway, but many passengers were afraid to use it. To dispel their fears, one of the subway workers, William Harris, regularly rode the escalator up and down, demonstrating its safety and harmlessness. One of the rare photographs taken on a ship transporting slaves, 1882. Soviet peasants listened to the radio for the first time, 1928. Male lipstick tester, 1960s. One of the oldest pieces of evidence of tattoos in history, a Scythian deer tattoo on the mummy of the Altai princess, aged 2,500 years. The appearance of the legendary meme, People's Friendship University, 1967. According to the women of the Badi tribe in Ethiopia, the most beautiful man is the one with the biggest belly, Ethiopia, 2013. Prisoners of the Herero and Nama during the genocide in the early 20th century. In ancient Egypt, to mourn the death of a cat, the owner shaved his eyebrows. U.S. President Richard Nixon tries to eat with Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai in China, 1972. Watching television in a movie theater in the city of Carpi, Italy, 1956. Protest against the Vietnam War, Italy, 1970. It was once often said how honorable and beautiful it was to die for the homeland. But in modern wars, there is nothing honorable or beautiful. You will die like a dog, and for no reason. Ernest Hemingway. In 1730, French pirate Olivier Levasseur was sentenced to the gallows. Before his execution, he unexpectedly threw a note with a cryptogram into the crowd, shouting, "Find my treasures if you can." The treasure has never been found. A rare photo of people enjoying casual conversation on September 11, 2001. A hut made of mammoth bones found in Ukraine. The structure is about 15,000 years old. As long as we have beer and tobacco, we are not afraid of the enemy scum. We will endure. German postcard from World War I, 1916. The rotor carousel reached 33 revolutions per minute, creating a centrifugal force of almost 3G. When people stuck to the wall of the drum due to the force, the floor was automatically removed for greater effect. USA, 1950s. American and Mexican soldiers stand at the Arizona border before the big wall was built, 1915. The widely known photograph that changed the perception of AIDS. A father comforts his son, David Kirby, on his deathbed in Ohio, 1990. The clock frozen at 8:15 during the bombing of Hiroshima. The smartest photo. Participants of the 5th Solvay Congress. Among them are Albert Einstein, Marie Curie, and Niels Bohr. 17 out of 29 participants received the Nobel Prize, 1927. Border guards of East Berlin increased the height of the Berlin Wall by adding barbed wire to prevent attempts by residents of the USSR to escape to Germany, 1961. In 1947, boxer Sugar Ray Robinson did not want to enter the ring with Jimmy Doyle because he had a dream in which he killed his opponent. Robinson was persuaded to participate in the fight. The 8th round ended with Doyle falling after a punch from Robinson and being unable to continue the fight. He later died in the hospital. How women's swimsuits have changed. Irene Sendler secretly saved 2,500 children during World War II by smuggling them out of a Nazi concentration camp. English language sign, "Here was Forge," installed at the ruins of the city of Forges-les-Eaux, almost completely destroyed during World War I, France, 1917. Residents of the Czech city of Asch greet German troops, 1938. Gold prospectors climb the Chilkoot Pass to reach the Klondike gold fields, Alaska, 1898. One of the main pieces of evidence against Ted Bundy, American serial killer, rapist, kidnapper, and necrophile, was his teeth. He bit his victims on the chest and buttocks. He even bit off one woman's nipples. This is how the weight of people was once determined. In the photo, a woman from the Tarahumara tribe is being weighed. Mexico, 1892. The Last Feat, 1991, Vukovar. A Serbian fighter carried a wounded comrade out of battle. Then he returned for another and was killed. He saved a life, sacrificing his own. American soldiers are shown one of the methods of execution in the German concentration camp, Buchenwald, 1945. Dance of Loyalty. A ritual dance symbolizing the dancer's loyalty to the country's leader, Mao Zedong, PRC 1967. In 1968, for the first time in history, a woman lit the Olympic flame. In the photo, Mexican runner Ketty Basilio. The baptism of the smallest member of the ultra-right Ku Klux Klan organization, USA, 1920. People read the news about Kennedy's assassination, New York, 1963. Peaky Blinders, members of the gang that terrorized Birmingham in 1903. 39-year-old cowboy from Texas, Clarence Haley, whose image was used in Marlboro cigarette advertisements, 1949. Icelandic men celebrate the abolition of the law prohibiting beer, Iceland, 1989. A woman carries a sewing machine on her head, using the local method of carrying. Women from these regions usually carry water jugs on their heads. Kuwait, 1955. The world map used by Christopher Columbus in 1492. Scottish physicist Robert Watson Watt was once stopped by a police officer for speeding, after which he said, "If I had known what you would do with it, I would never have invented radar." Freed prisoners of the Voebeline concentration camp awaiting medical assistance, World War II, Germany, 1945. Palestinians with an olive branch try to start a conversation with Israeli border guards, West Bank, 1991. Patent sketch of toilet paper, created by inventor Seth Wheeler, 1891. Men and a bear pulling a car out of the mud, Russia, 1987. Thank you for watching this video until the end. I hope these photos impressed you. Some may have made you angry, brought a smile, made you happy, or perhaps even caused some negativity. Feel free to leave your comments and stay tuned for the next part. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Bye.